Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Mailbox Sundays with your hosts, Dr. Terry Jackson, Life Coach Tem'ti, and Pastor Kenny Smith.
Source Nation, welcome back to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with me, your host, Life Purpose Coach Tem'ti. And as I stated earlier, special guest tonight is Sex Coach Nikki. She's a sex expert, and we are going to be talking about, I think I'm bad at sex, how can I tell? And Coach Nikki has a story that more than a few of us can relate to. She got married at 24, was a great mother, wife, business partner, the whole shebang. But she neglected one thing, her sexuality, and how to actively express that sexuality in a relationship. So her and her husband did a very brave thing. They talked. They confronted it. They had nothing to lose, and things got better. So much better that Nikki is now an educator and a sex expert in how to get men and women to fulfill themselves sexually within their relationships. And this is how Nikki describes what she does in her own words. She says, I see many people suffering in sexless marriages and dissatisfying sex lives. They deal with rejection in their own bedroom, and they have no one supporting them to develop their sexuality as an individual since they are in a committed relationship. I save people the pain of totally ruining their relationship because of their sexuality, to help them to be honest, open-minded, and willing to try new things and not have it ruin their life. So you see, she's on a mission, Source Nation, and a lot of what she does, a lot of what she says are things we can use. We're going to hear from her tonight. In fact, she's coming in the studio right now. So without further ado, Source Nation, may I welcome Coach Nikki to Renaissance Relationship Therapy. How are you doing today, Nikki?
I am really good. How are you?
I am doing fine. It's so great to have you here. We're going to have a wonderful conversation. You ready for this?
Yeah, I am excited to meet you and to be here for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Coach Nikki, a very interesting story. You know, I've been all over your website. You know, so many great things that you actually go into that people may not be, you know, willing to talk about or to confront, but you put it out there in plain English, in an appealing way. So please tell us more about, you know, a little more about how you got started and why you do what you do.
Sure. Well, wow, you made me sound so good, but the thing is, it's like so true. And sometimes you hear someone else say it, it's like, wow, that is me. And I guess the only thing I can add is what really drives me through all of the changes I've gone through is being as much with integrity within myself as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that doesn't match other people's opinions of morality or what is correct, but it's really important to be honest and true with myself inside myself.
Right. I agree.
So a lot of us aren't willing to do that because it can get very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
And you know, and it's a discomfort that, you know, that really brings us here tonight, because you're right. A lot of people do not have the type of sexual experience that they want simply because they just don't know how to express it or just, you know, as you were saying, talk about it. And while they think they're pleasing their partner, they're actually not. And, you know, they really need to know that, look, there's something you can do about it, you know. So
yeah, and it's really amazing. I believe you have.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say it's been really.
You have a great perspective on this. To share
Thank you. Thank you. And it's been really amazing these last few months. I've had this influx in my practice of men who are in relationships who I've been able to help have amazing growth in their sexuality with their partner. Even though I'm just working with the men one-on-one, I'm able to just move them in a way that helps them manifest the type of sexual being they want to be in their relationship.
Right. That's important. That's so important. And you know, looking at the topic, I'm bad at sex. How can I tell? Because, of course, we have to acknowledge where we ain't doing so great before we can get better. And so, looking at these nine, like, I try to look at the absolute, 9 red flags that everybody can absolutely relate to, things that your partner will probably not tell you. And I think the number one red flag that really hurts your sexual performance and experience has got to be self-consciousness. I mean, I've been with people that have been afraid to be naked, to be seen naked, or to have sex with the lights on, or to let their partner touch them in certain places. And, this can ruin a great setup. I mean, to really enjoy sex and to be good at it, you have to be comfortable in your own skin, right, Coach Nikki?
Well, it's always better. I don't like to really operate in absolutes. So have to, no, but it does help, yes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think there's, and everything is also on a continuum. Like, you may be completely self-conscious on one end and completely relaxed and confident on the other, and everyone falls somewhere along that continuum. So as long as we're moving toward more connection and more love, then that's ideal, even if we start out from a very closed place. It's when we're stuck and cemented in that closed place that's where the problems and challenges come in.
Absolutely. Great point. I always think about, and again, personal experience, red flag number 2, not saying what you want. And, situations like bad sex in silence. You're having sex, it's not the way you like it. And your partner's just going along with it and not necessarily questioning you because they think, well, okay, he or she's not saying anything, let me just continue. And nobody's really feeling it. They're not using their voices to communicate, their body or their eyes. So that's the importance of, where and how we go wrong and how we can correct communication before, during, and after sex.
Well, the thing is, most of us in our society, and women especially, are taught not to ask for what we want. And so the only way we can deal with it usually or cope with it is to completely shut it down. So for some people who are on that spectrum, whether they're women or just more feminine, they need to be taught and pulled out and teased out and brought out that it's okay for them to express their likes and dislikes and desires, because a lot of them, they just don't even know what those are because they just shut it down because it's not okay to express them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really a thing of being shut down and freezing that part of yourself out. So if your partner is, like, we all know that, air quotes, dead fish lay of the partner, right? It's horrible.
Right.
It's like the worst phrase, but everyone knows what it is because it happens, Yeah. And it's just because these people, usually women, don't have any idea how, they are either so disconnected from their body that they don't even know what they like or don't like, or they're so disconnected from their strengths to speak up that they can't. It's not that they won't, it's that they can't. So it's a matter of teaching them a verbal way to communicate, which means you got to really simplify it. And it's not by asking, am I doing this right? Does this feel good? You have to ask very specific questions. Would you like me to go harder? Would you like me to go faster? Very specific. That could be yes or no questions so that they can start getting in touch with their body and asking, would I like it harder? Would I like it slower? Things like that.
Right. And typically to set up the scene, what could be said before sex to ensure that, the lines of communication are okay? It's okay to talk during sex. What kind of, how do you set that up?
Well, I encourage people, especially people in relationships, is this what you're, in that context, I really encourage people to have practice sex. Any athlete, they have practice. Any performer, they have rehearsal. But all of us think we're going to go into the bedroom and have amazing sex with no practice.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So I encourage people to have practice sessions and to put a very specific container around it, being how long they're going to do it for, what they're going to do, what they're going to work on, and then their intention, and then to debrief, review it after, what went well, what did not go well. And so with that little container, you could do that for 15 minutes, 30 minutes of practicing one or two techniques. And that way it is completely open. You're not trying to do any performance. You have no goal. It's only to see what you're experiencing in that moment. Then when you're having that practice, then it's a lot easier to transfer that into regular partner sex when you're just maybe a little bit more off the cuff in the moment. You can be like, oh, well, I remember I communicated, I made a request, and it didn't get shot down over there in practice. So now in regular partner sex, I'm going to try it too, because you have more confidence.
That's an excellent point. That really is. And, it actually leads us nicely to red flag number 3, people not knowing what they want. And Nikki, even if you have little to no experience with sex, there's always something, like you said, that people will want to try. Everybody wants to try something, or something that they already know that they feel, okay, let me push the pleasure button a little harder on this and see how great it can get. It seems like a necessity almost, to like you said, to really be in touch with how you feel, with what you want. So outside of practice sex, are there any other ways that people, whether as individuals or as a couples, are there any other ways that they can get to know what they want so they can be happy, so they can happily ask for it without feeling, embarrassed or anything like that?
Absolutely. Ideally, you want to practice some kind of mindfulness embodiment exercise like meditation, especially orgasmic meditation, but even certain kinds of martial arts. Because even right now, if you take a deep breath, inhale, exhale, you feel more in your body. And so many of us, we are disconnected from the neck down. We are not connected because we're all in our heads, let alone our genitals. And there's a thing called the genital hole, and we are just, the only time we pay attention to our genitals is when we have to use the restroom or if there's pain. So, you have to create a mindfulness practice where you're getting in touch with your genitals and actually giving it space, giving your body space to feel and yearn and have desire.
I love it. That is, and so much of what you said, especially about the meditation, the martial arts, that strikes a very personal note with me. And we've had like countless shows where we've tried to encourage listeners to consider other things outside of what they may consider faith or religion or just everyday practice, to really incorporate these things and to just benefit from the power, from the sexual power that this releases. It's so much in what you just said. We definitely need everyone to call you after the show. So you are going to give your details you're going to leave them with us.
Absolutely.
But moving on to red flag number 4. That's really bad for sex. Not taking control. You don't take control. And, I just want to say it's not always the partner's job to take control. When you're incredibly passive, as we said, the wet fish, that's not going to be fun for either of you. You don't have to be necessarily dominant or super aggressive. We're not saying get the whips and the hot knives out, but it does help if you're willing to take control some of the time at least. How can people take more control? Because nobody just wants to be the so-called aggressor all the time. Tell us about this, Nikki.
I think that a lot of people hear the word control and they do automatically go to domination. And I think that turns a lot of people off. So I've learned to really talk about tapping into your passion and being more passionate and expressing your passion. And sometimes that is going to come across as aggressive, But most of the time, just being more enthusiastic, that means that you're actually going to be, enthusiasm, right? You're going to have the spirit inside you moving you to do what you want. You're inspired. So you're inspired to express your desire. You're inspired to share your pleasure and give pleasure. So getting more in touch with your passion.
And just, leading off from that, I know that people can be in jobs that kill their passion, or possibly have, things going on in their lives that don't necessarily feed into their passion, or even their partners can be the one that kills their passion. What do you do when you're in a situation where, not having passion is affecting your relationship? How do you go out and reconnect with it, especially if it's happening at home?
Well, I think the real key is vulnerability. When you are able to get really vulnerable with your partner, then it starts to allow the softer passion. Because like just now when I was talking about passion, I don't know about you, but you think like more aggressive, more overt. But for some people, passion can be really quiet and subtle. So by being vulnerable and making space for your partner to be vulnerable, that will allow the more subtle passion to come forward. And I think sometimes we discount that subtle passion because it doesn't look the way we expect it to.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. All right, number 5, red flag for bad sex. You giggle a lot. Now, this one is a little tricky, because laughing and giggling in and of itself, of course, it's not a bad sign. In fact, you can laugh when you're intimate with your partner. That's a great sign. However, if you're giggling like this is a school trip, then come on, Nikki, that's a problem. That's got to be a problem.
Yeah. So this is what my experience with giggling and some other things is that it's a way to dissipate intensity and sensation. So sensation is building. Something is happening that's increasing the sensation in your body, whether that's heat, arousal, and then maybe one more thing happens and you get embarrassed or you're unsure. So then the sensation, it becomes too much for you to handle. So the way that you get, you put the sensation out is to giggle. It's like when you're too cold, you shiver, right? So
right.
in bed, you're holding too much sensation, you can giggle. Or you can have to go pee. Or maybe you get hungry or you fall asleep all of a sudden. Like these are all ways to deal that you might be dealing and coping with too much sensation. So what you need to do is going back to that practice, like I was talking about, is have a practice that you can actually expand your capacity to tolerate and to hold more sensation.
Wow. That's interesting. And I guess ultimately, sensation, it's what we want. We want to get the sensation from sex, and increasing the capacity for it. Absolutely. What would be one of the top 3 ways that one can strengthen themselves, apart from practice, that they can strengthen themselves to increase their capacity for taking all that sensation?
Well, the number 1 practice I recommend is orgasmic meditation, honestly. Have you ever...
Now, that's something that a lot of folks may not be aware of, can be done, or even the concept of it.
Yeah.
Again, it's something that we've spoken about on the show, but please, for those who may not have heard of orgasmic meditation, give us an example of what it takes.
Sure. It's a meditation practice, and it's actually more meditative than it is orgasmic or climactic. And basically, there's 2 partners, and one partner strokes the female genital for 15 minutes with no goal, except to focus on connection and sensation. And so as you can imagine, there's a lot of sensation in that. And this is not done to prepare for sex. It's not connected to romance, finance, nothing else. It is specifically to get more in your body. And it's a direct stimulation on the clitoris. And a lot of women don't even allow that normally. But this is done with such a high degree of awareness and attention that you are slowly training your body and your system to hold that intensity of sensation.
That's and again, even like what you just described. I mean, this isn't just something that everyone. This is a new thing we just invented. I mean, cultures have been doing this for forever, right? These are like ancient practices where they can release sexual energy, and even that energy as a byproduct can benefit health, can benefit creativity.
Yes.
There's so much to it. What were the other two ways that you recommend increasing your capacity for pleasure?
The one after that would be the second two kind of tie. So one is solo sex meditation or masturbation meditation. So the only reason this is not as good, in my opinion, is because it's really much harder to completely surrender when you're also doing, there's cause and effect. And so when you're at cause and effect both in the same person, it's not quite the same, but it is still possible. It takes a greater degree of discipline for sure. Sure.
Right.
But that is definitely doable for the single person or the person that doesn't get to see their partner all the time. And then the third way would be to find someone who does sexological body work or tantra as a practitioner, who can help you work with your energies and infuse your solo practice with different experiences that you might not normally do yourself. Like I'm working with a woman now. She's single, but she had never really directly touched her clitoris because it had never really occurred to her to expose it the way I showed her how.
Wow. There's so much to this, and going back to the second point you mentioned about the self-stimulation and increasing your tolerance for pleasure. I mean, I know that applies to men in a lot of cases. A lot of times their threshold can be so quickly, easily reached, and it really does take practice, and not like you said, it can go beyond just preparing for sex, but as something just to re-energize yourself. And and of course the whole tantra element that you mentioned is something that folks really do need to look at. Source Nation, please, if you're listening, what Coach Nikki's talking about, this is gold dust. This is absolute gold dust, and many cultures around the world have been doing this, and it's lost on us in the West, and it's something that it's gaining traction again. But absolutely, hip yourself to it, and definitely at the end of the show, we'll be giving Coach Nikki's details. You need to follow up with her. And, of course, carry on listening to this show because we always talk about this stuff. Moving on, red flag number 6, the opposite of giggling. You're really quiet. It's crickets. And, we're not saying that everyone has to be a screamer, but you also shouldn't be so quiet to the point where it seems like you're not there. And, sometimes, you can get a little paranoid, like, are you okay? Am I doing this right? I mean, it's going to kill the sex vibe. Don't you agree? If you're too quiet in sex.
I think that, again, this goes back to that spectrum of the person, what they're able to express. And also, each individual may be dealing with a lot of other issues. Like a really common issue is shame. And so there may be, we never know how many layers of shame a person has. And it could be as simple as being ashamed of feeling pleasure. Or it could be as intense as having been sexually, molested or done something traumatized. So it is difficult when you're with someone or if you yourself are very quiet. But again, going back to like the practice, the rehearsal, it's like, okay, where do you feel like you're going to be shutting down stop right there and see what are the other things that are starting to wrap up your voice that you're losing your words.
Okay, talking about the shame. So you're in a situation and somebody's quiet during sex, or they start crying, and and it turns out that there is something beyond all those layers that sex has just opened up. But at the same time, whether you're that person or it's happening to someone that you're with, you still want to have sex. So going forward, what would be the best way you think to deal with that, to overcome that, if there's been some kind of trauma, some kind of abuse in the past?
I think number one, you have to really believe and discuss, like, you both are entering into this experience as adults. And you're both taking responsibility for your experience and your shared experience. And then at that point, if the person who is having the challenge, it is their responsibility to say, we need to stop. The other person is welcome to, of course, stop, but it's each of our own individually take responsibility for our experience. And if a person is crying because something got opened up, they need to take that responsibility. Now, if their partner is too sensitive and they can't perform because the one is crying, then you'll have to stop. It's an opportunity to actually connect and get even more vulnerable. And this is where it can be difficult for many of us. We're very goal-oriented. And if we want to have sex, we have a very specific idea of what this means.
Right.
But if someone is having a spiritual breakthrough or emotional breakdown, then it just isn't going to look like what we expect it to look like. That doesn't mean we're not making love or sharing intimacy. In fact, it may be more intimate to have your partner's tears on your chest than their bodily fluids on your genitals.
Absolutely. And you touched on something there. Again, when you mention spiritual, a lot of people automatically go to, their faith in terms of experiences. But the most profound spiritual experiences will a lot of the times happen during sex. And again, there's this deep connection between spirit and sex. Tell us a little bit about this, Nikki.
Well, this, I will tell you, is outside of my area of expertise. I believe that sacred sexuality is very important, and there are a lot of people that really play on that part of the axis. And if you imagine a cross, right, there's the top part, and then there's like the bottom part. And I just don't have a preference. And I feel like what you're asking is kind of pointing toward a preference for the sacred and reaching to spirituality, making things okay. And I feel like that's good and necessary for a lot of people. But for other people who don't want to learn a whole new language, they don't want to learn Tantra and all the vocabulary that goes with it, the laymen, they get left behind. And it's like sometimes we just want to have beastie, dirty fucking, and it's like it's because a lot of people want that, but they still want it to be clean. Then they put the veil of sacred sexuality over it in such a way to make it okay. And I just that's not my realm.
And I'm with you on that. In the terms that again, when the word spiritual is used, like the people will think that it's something sanctified, something holy, but we know that just laughing over a good joke is a spiritual experience. Smiling is a spiritual experience. Anything where you get to express yourself, So absolutely, definitely don't want people to trip off that word and start thinking that something sacred has to be, a white cloth and a white room. No, what's sacred is what's between you two. And as long as you're of the same accord, that in itself can do so much for both individuals, Moving on to number 7. and I know I'm definitely guilty of this one, analyzing too much. And, you know, it's completely natural, I guess, to put a lot of thought into what you want to do, you know, what you want to focus on, especially, you know, there's a little bit of inexperience. But, you know, I've been in situations where I've been with someone for a while, and all I needed to do was just go with the flow. But here's me now analyzing and asking for stats, performance records, scorecards, and we haven't even finished yet. You know, we're still having sex. It's like, it's crazy, you know. So tell me about analyzing too much and how to recognize if you're doing it, and you know what you can do to change that.
Well, this is another symptom of being disconnected from your body. Since we're in front of computers and we're on our phones, we're in our head all the time, and then all of a sudden we want to drop down and have this physical experience using this body. It's like maybe having some type of breathing exercise, do some warm-ups. Like, you know, before you go exercise, you do warm-ups. Try doing that before you have sex. And when you do start going into analysis, it's just notice it, don't judge it, and bring your attention back to your body. So in practice time, this is good because you can be focusing on one thing. Like you could be focusing on the labia or the clitoris or the testicles, and just be focusing on the one thing. And so every time your mind starts to analyze or wander, for that matter, just bring it back to what it actually feels like in your body. And then to have this format around it where afterward you speak about it very simply based on body sensation, what it felt like, what worked, and what could have been better, and keeping it very simple. That way there is a sufficient analysis that next time you try it, it will be better, but you're not comparing it to every other experience you ever had in your life.
Right. And again, that's another thing. You're absolutely right. I mean, there's a huge danger in doing that, I guess, comparing one partner to another and saying this one wasn't as good as that one and whatnot. And we really do ourselves and our partners a disservice, right, when we do that during sex.
Well, yeah, you're not present in the moment, so you're going to miss. You're going to miss what's actually happening in real time if you're comparing.
Right. So being low maintenance or even no maintenance, okay, now this is actually an issue, all right? Like you said, you know, everything is no absolute. Everything's on a spectrum, but what I mean by your no maintenance is that we all talk about liking low maintenance partners. But just putting a little effort into sex can justify the results. You know, going out your way to get that special cologne, that scented oil, doing some extra ab exercises, searching for sexy underwear. It's a little work, but it can go a long way, whether you're doing it for your partner or doing it for yourself, you know, as opposed to coming to bed in your same flannel pajamas that have that same hole with cream in your face, maybe a little extra funky because you didn't want to shower, you know, or you haven't shaved in weeks and, like, you know, it's just all bush everywhere. I mean, all of this can lead to bad sex, and your partner may not want to say anything. What can you do about that? What should you do about that, Nikki, when you don't want to put the effort in? You don't want to do the maintenance.
Well, this I think, honestly, most of us are so used to not asking for what we want, and we just shut it down. And when you're low maintenance like that, I would say you're not in touch with your own desire, and you're not in touch with what you actually want. And so as a result, you're like just taking what you can get or what's good enough. And rather than, you know, have you ever heard, like, the good is enemy of the best, right?
Right.
And so it's exactly the same situation. Like, oh, well, this is good enough because, you know I'm secure with this partner. And it's like, okay, maybe that is where you have to be half of the week or half of the time. But then always, I was thinking when I was coming, like, what are some signs that you're not good in bed? Well, if you're not always trying to learn something new or expand your capacity to feel more sensation, that's a sign for sure that you are not good in bed, because it's one of those things that we can always be developing, especially if you have a partner that wants to do it with you. Hello. But even if you're solo.
Right. Absolutely. For men who say, like you said, you talked about the, and again, everyone's an individual. You talked about the self-stimulation. In order to really take sex seriously in terms of looking to increase your pleasure, not so much turning it into a chore. But what other things can guys do? Because I know, there may be more support out there for women, more articles out there on stuff they can do. It's like, run the bath, use scented candles, and then start working your fingers and do that. There's a lot of information on that. But for men, it's just get the Vaseline, shea butter if you want to be exotic, and have at it, and you're done in 5 minutes. But surely there's more things that men can do to make this a bit of an occasion for themselves and their partners.
Yeah, and I think a lot of men are motivated by the fact that they can do things during their solo sex that will make them a better lover with their partner. And this is about being mindful. It's about actually paying attention to what sensations feel like. So if you're stroking yourself, pay attention to both how it feels on your cock and also how it feels on your hand. Like, these are two different sensations, and usually you're just looking at your visual stimulation, not even feeling what's happening in your body. Like, that's stereotypically, right?
Yeah.
So and this is also an opportunity when you're erect to really strengthen your pelvic floor area. You could do cock push-ups and pull-ups, and you can do cock stretches that can actually increase the length of your cock. So you can actually, strengthen and lengthen.
Yes.
And also, a lot of men I've been talking to lately have pain during intercourse due to foreskin issues. They're having pain at the tip of their cock because of adhesions, or, even if they are circumcised, there may be adhesions. So you can loosen your skin and work with that during masturbation. That's really ideal. And then you don't have to go to the doctor and get snipped. You work on it a little bit every day. Seriously, how many men, I don't know about you, but I know many men are having these problems where I'm working with a guy now who didn't even want to have sex with his wife anymore because it was so painful when he entered her because of the adhesions on his foreskin. And also, not only that, the pain was there, but also that pain was also stimulating him to premature ejaculation.
Wow.
So it was like a double whammy. Like, he didn't want to do it, and then when he did, it was over too fast. So now he's able to go for up to a half an hour or longer because he's learning how to he's learned how to do that. But that's all been in self-love, solo sex.
Good for him. And I know when you're talking about the pelvic floor muscles, I mean, again, as a guy, you want to, keep on having sex till you drop dead, and to also have orgasms that are strong,
yes.
or getting stronger, and that can't happen without the stronger muscles. So it's definitely worth the effort. It's absolutely worth the effort.
Yeah, and it's really hard if your whole solo sex life is sitting in a chair and moving your arm. That's not going to help you when you're with your partner. You have to do other exercises that's going to strengthen. I know this is kind of vulgar, but I just call it your fuck muscles, And you don't want to be clenching your butt cheeks. You want to be using your abs, like things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. You heard that, guys. Start doing the Coach Nikki workout. There's a lot to it. But last red flag. And again, this one is pretty key. Coming across someone, whether it's you or someone else, you're afraid to try new things. You're not spontaneous. And again, this falls in line with not going with the flow. I mean, you can't always be afraid to try new things. I mean, if you try it and you hate it, then at least you know, right? I mean, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where it does really help. Even verbal coaching is very helpful because chances are what's stopping you from trying a new thing is some kind of a belief that you have about what that thing means. Like only people who do that thing are bad in some way, shape, or form. So if I do that thing, I'll be bad. So it's like you have to really look at these beliefs that you have around different sexual activities and ask yourself, like, hey, is that belief really serving you any longer? And inventory that. And if it's not true for you anymore, let it go. And then you're right. Yeah, try it if you don't like it. I always say try something at least 3 times because, you know, the first time you don't know what to expect. The second time you're still worried about, you know, the mechanics of the activity. Third time you still don't like it, then okay, maybe it's not for you.
Right. That is fair enough. That is fair enough. Three times. 3 is a good number.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have heard this now, and they're probably like, you know, getting through the numbers and thinking, okay, you know, do I do this? Do I, you know, am I guilty of that or the other? What do you want to leave everybody with? What point do you think, you know, you really want to sell to people? For those who think that, because if you think you're not that good at sex, you're probably right in some respect, and something may need some kind of review. You may need to go over something with your partner. What's the best way? What's the best thing, you know, you want people to understand about this whole process?
Slow down and feel into their body and get more practice feeling what's going on inside their body, inside their own skin.
Okay. That's the word.
That's it.
There's a lot of mind, you know, I mean, the thing is, you know, we have to use our minds for everything. And, you know, being quiet in your mind enough to listen to your own urges, your own passions. When there's so many distractions, I know it can be hard, but it absolutely pays so many dividends in all things. Like I said, it's going to go back to creativity, your career, your love life, being in the present, being in the moment. You're absolutely right, Coach Nikki. So you said a lot, and of course there's a lot more below the surface. How can people get in touch with you if they want to get to see the real Coach Nikki and take advantage of everything you have to offer?
Well, they can email me or text or call me. Text is always really good. Email's second best. My business phone number is 702-674-6606. And I actually wanted to offer all your listeners a complimentary laser coaching session. So what this is, I do a sexual history evaluation before we speak. And then you get up to 1 hour on the phone with me that we can look at your evaluation and just like laser focus in on anything you have me for 45 to 60 minutes. And if that's at the end, yeah, I will share how you can work with me if you want to, but there's no obligation, of course. You can take what you learned during the laser coaching session and start applying it right away. I've had a lot of really great results. And for those who think they might want to work with me, it's a good way for them to get a taste of, you know, how I work with people. So my website is nikkilundberg.com, NIKKILUN as in Nancy, D as in dog, B as in boy, ERG.com. And there's like a little sign up there on the side to join my email community. And sometimes I have things going on. I always have classes here in Las Vegas where I live. Anal April is coming up.
Anal April,
so
okay.
Anal class coming up. So There's always fun stuff like that going on, and I have a video website as well. So there's a link to that on the main coaching site. So, yeah, just send everyone there, or shoot me a text, and we'll set up a time, and I'll send you the link for the sexual history questionnaire.
Great. We'll be posting that information on the Source Nation website and all our social media. So everybody, you can catch up with Coach Nikki for her laser evaluation. And to be honest, I mean, as great as it sounds, when I heard the word lasers, I'm like, okay, this is something new and kinky here. Yes, some lightsabers. But you put me right, you put me straight. So, but no, it's been great, Nikki, and definitely appreciate your straightforwardness and cutting to the chase, and actually the width of your information. Again, so many layers to this, from the mind straight down to the base of the body, and we need it all to have that full experience. Everybody wants it. Everybody dreams about it. Everybody talks about it. Why not put the work in to get it? So definitely appreciate you giving us the perspective and the way it can be done.
Thank you for having me. I feel really honored, and thank you for sharing this time with me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Coach Nikki, and maybe we can do this again in the future. We'd be honored to have you back.
I'm totally game. Just keep me posted.
Will do. Thank you so much, Coach Nikki. Source Nation.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been, thanks, amazing show. Really covered a lot of things that I wanted to talk about and more. It's always great when we have guests that can really expand on the information. Again, anyone we have on the show isn't just has so many dimensions to them. And again, when we're talking about human experience, we are from bone and flesh to mind and emotion. And for our relationships and even for our sexual interactions, we need it all. And being bad at sex, there are a lot of signs out there. And this one thing I want us to take away from this, that there are a lot of signs that show that we can be, not as great at sex as we want to be or need to be. But none of them are deal breakers, okay? None of this means that you're condemned to the bad sex pile. Nobody's going to phone you. No sex for you. No. You don't need to feel mortified, embarrassed. Instead, feel enlightened. Everything is a learning experience, and no one is an automatic expert at sex. As you can see, many signs you're bad at sex just have to do with your comfort level. If you can learn how to make yourself feel more comfortable, things will go much more smoothly. You just have to be willing to recognize which signs that you are bad at that pertain to you and simply work on them. And give Coach Nikki a call, okay? Source Nation, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Also, Source Nation, to contact me, you can reach myself, Life Purpose Coach Tem'ti, at meetmytypes.com for any comments, questions, or ideas about the show that you want to talk about. And also, for all the singles in Atlanta, we will be continuing our series of the best dating events in the ATL. The next one is coming up real soon, so you need to visit www.meetmytypes.com, meetmytypes.com, and sign up for the mailing list and be the first to know so that you can be there for the best singles experience Atlanta has to offer. And check out the videos, galleries, and testimonials on meetmytypes.com for yourself. Source Nation, it's been a pleasure. You've been listening to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with me, Tem'ti. I want you all to have a great week. Guys, exercise. Exercise is more than the hand. We know you're going to do it, so do it right. Put a little mindfulness into it. Ladies, let's be real. If you're going to do it, again, push the pleasure button. Allow yourselves. Feed into your passion and make it special, okay? So next week, I will see you. Sunday, we'll be here. Love is all, and all is love. Peace.